Hi everyone, welcome back to Pine Hollow Auto Diagnostics. Today we have a very special European car on a trailer. It's a 1991 Audi Quattro 200 wagon with the 5-cylinder turbocharged 2.2 liter 20 valve turbo. It's towed here from New Jersey because the owner said he wants to get it back on the road and it doesn't crank over. The starter is new. I said the alternator was mechanically seized up. He couldn't even turn the engine over by hand. Now the engine turns over. He said he manually energized the starter. The engine does turn over, but with the ignition switch, nothing happens. So this thing is, I haven't seen one of these in 15 or 20 years. It's a stick shift, and you got the cool differential lock button here. It's a very neat piece. The cluster's out of it, and he said he tried a new replacement ignition switch. This is the replacement ignition switch. You can turn it with a screwdriver, but it doesn't crank over. So let's look at a wiring diagram, see how the system's laid out, and hopefully we can get this thing to crank on the trailer.
I should have said that in the opening thing there to you.
So I wanted to drop the windows down because it's like 90 degrees outside.
You can open the doors at least.
The owner tells me that nothing in the car works. No windows, no climate control, no radio. So that's a big clue. It's probably all related. Let's take a look at the wiring diagram, see what these wires are on the ignition switch. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wires. One's a double. And get a test light out and see if we're missing something. Alright, so old school track diagrams because the redrawn doesn't include everything. Here's our ignition start switch. So we see two big red wires coming in. That's terminal 30, hot at all times, battery power. So we should check those two before going any further. Alright, test light connected to ground to a bracket. Let's just start checking these wires. So the two reds should be hot. See the test light lights up on that one, lights up on that one. Okay, those are the two inputs, and now the outputs 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's just go one at a time. I don't care about wiring colors at the moment. I just want to see if they come alive at some point during the, when I turn the ignition switch. So this is off. Okay, position 1, that lights up, and then crank, that stays lit. Okay, good. Second wire, it's a skinny red. No light. No light there. That might be the key in. If you depress the button or something. There you go. Yep, that's just a key in reminder. Not worried about that one. Red and black, this is the one that goes to the starter, or to the starter relay. Let's see here. So, off, position 1. Position 2, it does light up. So there's nothing wrong with this feed to the ignition switch, or the ignition switch itself. And then this last wire here, let's see, it's off, on, and then turns off when you crank it. Okay. So what's next on the diagram? We just proved this red and black wire in start, it lights up, and that goes up here to little letter A on the tracks. And that goes all the way back to the first page, a automatic transmission anti-theft relay. Now we don't have the automatic transmission. Let's see, there's a little number there. A automatic transmission relay anti-theft relay. Okay, so if it's not automatic, if it's a manual transmission, that will be anti-theft relay. Got it. So from the ignition switch, we should have feed to both the load side and the control side. Okay, so the load side will go right to the starter if the relay is switched on. Now, how does the relay get switched on? Well, that has power coming in here. And what determines if it's a ground? It's a brown and gray wire. Goes to track 564. On the redrawn diagram, it goes through either anti-theft alarm control unit to ground or neutral safety switch on gear shift selector bracket. This is for the automatic. So we're manual, so it must go to this anti-theft alarm control unit. Okay, well, let's go to this relay. It's located in the fuse relay panel, and check that we do have, you know, when you crank it, you should have power here and here, 37 and 38. We can jump these two, see if the starter actually turns over, and then we can see if the anti-theft is happy, if it's allowing this wire to be grounded. Alright, so under the hood, here's our fuse and relay box. And it's nice that we have a legend, and starter lockout AT relay is number 8. Number 8, they're labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's pull this sucker out. See the pins there. Now, so I'll need an adapter to actually probe the individual pins, and they're labeled 36, 37, 38, and 39. That's convenient. We should have power on 2 of these when the key's in the crank position. Okay, so on the diagram, 37 and 38 should light up when the key's held in the crank position. So I have my adapters in 37 and 38. Now test light ground is not checked yet. Go ahead and hold the key in the crank position. Yep, we have a good light right there and a good light right there. Perfect. Now, one thing you can try is just jump 38 and 36. That should fire the starter, and with the key on, this engine might even start up and run. Now we want to make sure it has oil in it. Yeah, it looks nice and clean. So yeah, let's try that right now. All right, so the customer's holding the key in the crank position. So I'm gonna just jump pins 38 and 36. We'll see what happens. And if the engine starts, you can let go of the key. Okay, let's try it. Ooh, nothing. How about that? Keep holding it in the crank.
Yep.
Let me check that we have voltage here. So we definitely have a good feed to here, but pin 36 that's supposed to go to the starter, right there, is not going, there's no continuity. Now, okay, you can let go of the key. Now the starter itself, well, this is down here below the turbo. You can kind of see the shiny new solenoid. Yep, there it is. So I want to get to that control wire and see if we're getting anything at the solenoid down here. Alright, so one last thing I want to try before going after the starter is the control side of the relay. So again, both pins are probed, 37 and 39, and we just have a test light here. So go ahead and turn it to crank, and we'll see if that test light lights up. It should be energizing the relay. Holding it in crank. Okay, test light lights up. Beautiful. Okay, let it go. So we just verified the control side all the way through here, through this anti-theft alarm control unit is fine. Now let's try the same thing with the relay plugged in. Will the relay actually click? Because these relays are probably original and old. Alright, go ahead and crank it. We'll just see if it clicks. And let go. And just hold it and crank. See, that relay is not clicking. Weird. Well, we can substitute the neighboring relay, which is for the horn. I guess we don't need the horn. Oh, that's number 7. Hold in the crank again. See, that should click. Oh, it does. It's just very faint. Now let's see, does your horn work? No?
Not right now, no.
No. Okay. Is the key on?
Yeah.
The key's on.
The crank position.
Okay. Oh, okay. You can just leave it on.
Alright, put in the on.
And yep, and try horn. Okay, I can actually feel the horn relay click, but the horn doesn't work. Okay, that's fine. Here, let's pop that in here. Try the horn again.
Oh, sorry. Let me put this back in on position.
Huh, no, it doesn't. So the relay that was in the starter lockout does not click. So it looks like a bad relay, so we should mark that one. This one does click, but we still have obviously no crank because there's no continuity from this pin to the starter, or through the starter. So multiple issues here resulting in a no crank on a pretty simple system. Let's think of the next logical step. All right, so we're under the car. The starter is fairly easy to see. And you can see the solenoid is right there. So we got the main power, and then the control wire I unhooked and attached to a test light. I just want to see if we're getting power to this control wire with that, replacement relay installed. So go ahead and turn the crank. If that test light lights up, we're good all the way to the starter. You got it on crank?
We're on crank, yes sir.
Oh. Okay, so nothing here on the control wire. Now I do want to check my test light because I don't know if this is a good ground over here. But I don't think we have anything on this control wire, which comes from up there. So somewhere between the fuse box and this wire, it looks like there's an open. Alright, so next check, I found a constant power, one of the other relays, so the customer doesn't have to hold the key and crank. I'm just feeding power right to the starter control pin. Well, check it out. The test light's lit brightly. That's pretty insane. Maybe we just have a whole bunch of bad relays because one of them didn't click at all. The other one kind of clicked weakly, but it doesn't mean it's actually working, with the contacts inside. There could be corrosion internally in these relays. So let's try this. We'll just go from here to here. I'll turn the key to crank again. That test light should light up. You're in crank? There we go. Okay. Alright, turn it off. Let me reconnect that wire to the starter. See if it actually cranks from the key, and then we're just worried about bad relays. Alright, now I reconnected the control wire to the starter. So go ahead and crank it. It should crank if the starter's good.
Nope.
Not cranking?
Nope.
That's insanity. Now the starter, I see there's more control pins that are empty or not, maybe not applicable to this vehicle. You have any idea? Was this an OE, like OE equivalent?
It's actually rebuilt.
It's rebuilt, okay. And the only control wire went to that bottom pin on the original?
That's how I found it, yes.
Okay, gotcha. All right, let's redo that experiment real quick. Well, everything's connected, and I have a test light on the control wire to ground. As you can see, the test light's lit up. The starter's not doing anything. No clicking, no anything at all. So is the starter bad? The last thing we have to check is is the starter grounded against the engine block? I know it sounds crazy, but it's possible if it was painted or there's not a good contact. Is there a good ground on the starter case? So we just clip our lead to the starter case, do the same check, and see if the test light lights up, then there's a bad ground on the starter itself. Alright, so my final call here is, this is the bad starter. I have the 2 clamps connected right to the wire that goes into the starter motor. If I connect the other side to the hot control wire, which is just manually hot right now, test light lights up. So there's nothing wrong with the starter ground. This solenoid's junk. It's not conducting anything, so we could try to manually energize it, but we'll see. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, no wonder these relays weren't clicking. They're so full of corrosion that the corrosion is basically preventing this tab from closing the points. This one was moving a little bit. So, yeah, it definitely needs new relays. We can clean these up just for testing purposes. You know, perhaps all the relays under the hood are corroded like this. You know, how does moisture get into a relay? Well, these are kind of hard to get off, the covers. I have to basically break them off. But on the bottom, there's a little hole that you can see goes right through, like a little vent hole. So if moisture gets in there, and keep in mind this leg, pin 30, is hot all the time, and that's what you get. Moisture plus constant voltage, you're going to get the crusties. So that's definitely a problem. Now this will probably turn into a multi-series video restoration. That car, you know, brakes barely work, clutches sunk to the floor, none of the electrical stuff works, and the owner wants it back on the road sometime this summer. So we'll chip away at it. It's a beach swale right now, but even if I can get it started, if the clutch doesn't work, it's not moving anywhere. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Alright, I got relay number 1 in the horn slot. Yay! Oh man, that's cool. Let's try the other one. Try it from the steering wheel button. Now the key might have to be on. Nice. Well, now we just need a new starter. The owner actually had one in stock, but he didn't bring it with him. So if you're gonna bring a car here for anything, bring all the spare parts that you have. That'll make the job go a lot smoother, easier, just save a whole bunch of hassle. I'll figure out why the clutch pedal does this. Not returning at all. There is quite a bit of corrosion under here, you can see on the brackets, so if all these relays were exposed, that's not a good sign. You can see those circuit breakers are extremely rusty. So we'll kind of chip away at this thing, try to get most of the electrical stuff to work, go from there. Oh man, this is risky. That's unbelievable. Did it not close all the way? Oh no. No, I can't close it all the way. Let's see. Oh, because the spoiler is not cooperating here. What are these things doing here? There's one on the other side too. Sweet. I have no idea what these things are. We're just gonna leave them out. Well, the clutch here is actually starting to kind of come back to life, because if I push it all the way down, the car starts rolling back. So there's definitely some action there. I think it's just a hydraulic problem, maybe a bad seal in the master or slave cylinder, probably the master, because it shouldn't have that much free play before it starts pushing. Maybe it just needs to be bled out. The reservoir for the brake and the clutch is all one unit. This hose goes to the clutch master cylinder, and it's definitely full of fluid, and the fluid's still fluid. Maybe just a little playing around with it, and place your bets now. Can we restore this car almost no parts required? I'm hoping that'll be the case. Sweet. Just needed a little exercise after 10 years of sitting. Feels absolutely perfect. Comes back all the way. Brakes. Well, we don't have the boost on, but should have something. So I think to get this car driving, we just need to get the starter to work. See right there, at first it goes a lot of travel and then not as much. So all the seals in the master cylinders are probably a little stuck. So if you press it fast, good pedal response. But if you press it slow, it kind of falls down a little bit. Clutch is back fully. Very nice clutch feel. Alright, that makes me feel good. Might need a new master cylinder. We still have some brakes. Alright, sweet. Well, little hood shower.